Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Meta doesn't really matter. That might be quite surprising coming out of me, a person that absolutely loves to talk about the meta, the Clockwork Vendetta comp, mini-goats, all of that stuff. I really enjoy talking about it, highlighting good heroes for this season, bad heroes that you might not want to play, but I'll be honest, for a lot of you players, it doesn't really matter. Now that's a mix of the meta just not really being applicable to lower tiers, but also, ironically, we're in a really good meta right now where you can play whatever you want. If you want to climb to Masters playing Torbjorn, you can do right now. Before you maybe couldn't, but now it's very much open to play any DPS, tanks or supports right now that you'd like to. Yes, even new Brigitte. However, I still feel that meta is important to understand, especially if you want to climb, and really understand why things are played in a certain way and how they're good. The meta is a really good guideline to follow, but that's all it is. Before we get started in today's video, I also wanted to mention for those that are going to Insomnia that I will be there on the Saturday. I'll be doing a sponsored stream with the Royal Air Force and their esports team on the Saturday, starting around 1 PM BST to about 3, so a couple of hours, but we'll be hanging around the stand afterwards if you have a BYOC ticket. If you're not at Insomnia, don't worry because it will be live streamed at twitch.tv/REFVGEA, so you can see me feeding my guts out playing Anna or whatever. We'll tweet closer to the time, but the link is in the description if you want to give it a follow. So if you are going to the event, it would be really cool to see you guys. We're going to be using clips from two players here, Arge, who is a top 500 Hanzo, and also Krona Dota, who not only is a top 500 player and streamer, he makes videos on how to get better at stuff like Orisa or what tanks to play now, makes similar videos to us. But I wanted to highlight this Arge clip first. This came from a tip video going over Hanzo, obviously, and he was raising a point about a ultimate tip that seemed a bit too niche for top tier play. And I sort of brought up the fact that this seems very specific to top tier play as opposed to people in gold or platinum. And this was his amazing answer that I really wanted to highlight.
Yeah, that's the thing though, it's like people think that it's only for the highest tiers, but that's how you climb to the highest tiers. Like, just by not dealing any trash damage that feeds the enemy support's ultimates, like even at like, I'd say even in like gold or plat, it's gonna make a huge difference. And it's gonna make you win at least like 5 to 10% more games.
What Arge said then really made it all click. The difference between GM, top 500, and say gold isn't necessarily that there's a whole separate meta, it's not a Wild West, it's just that players aren't really playing the heroes in their complete optimal playstyle like Arge may be doing in Hanzo. I think a really solid example of a hero like this is Sombra. We had Tavik recently describe Sombra as broken, and that really irked off a lot of people, especially those that play Sombra in like gold, because she has the lowest pick rate and win rate, so how could she be broken? How can a hero be completely broken at the top tiers, but be absolutely trash in anything below it? I asked Krona Dota this, and he had another really solid answer as to why.
Well, I mean, going back to that Sombra example you gave, about Sombra being bad in gold, but considered to be broken in top 500, it's not so much that Sombra is bad in gold, it's more so that Sombra players in gold don't know how to play the character to actually make them effective, right? So again, this all ties back to what you asked me before about, like, playing at a top 500 level, is that going to make you top 500? Basically, the answer is still you just have to focus on yourself and improve, and that's just how you're going to climb. The same way that the reason certain people are Grandmaster or top 500 is because they do have that skill set, right? They have learned, and that's why they're here. That's why I think they're actually some of the best people to take advice from, because they've been there, they've done that, and they know how to actually get out of that slump.
Now the final part of that sentence that Krona Dota said is easier said than done. Some players just did their placements and ended up in GM. They were just that naturally good at the game. However, for Chrono, it's a little bit different. In fact, he knows what the lower tiers are like himself.
Well, personally, I had a really long history in esports, playing like StarCraft 2, Hearthstone, Dota 2, Counter-Strike, all those games competitively. So I mean, I actually ended top 500 in my first season, but there was a 6-month break that I took right after season 1. And then I got placed into gold. And then that season I had to climb from like 3.1k to, 4.4k in one season. So I mean, I do kind of understand how it is in like the gold ranks. And obviously I do a lot of like VOD reviews for my viewers. And a lot of those are, you know, in the gold ranks, platinum, silver, stuff like that. So I definitely understand like the more well-rounded approach of the game in terms of how it is.
After this, I wanted to ask, do we just watch players like Fitzy and Dante then to get better at Sombra? Is that how we improve? Do we just literally mimic their playstyle and hope for the best? And this is what Chrono had to say about it.
Okay, so obviously the best way to get better, in my opinion, is to fix your mistakes, right? So if you're making a mistake, fix that mistake. But for example, if you feel kind of stuck, you don't know what you're doing wrong, then watching some of those like high level players that play your character is the best way to learn. Like yeah, exactly, watch Fitzy, see exactly what he does. Understand why he uses translocator here, why he places translocator in that position, why he ults here, stuff like that, or how he farms his ultimate. That's all incredibly important stuff. That's like the second best way to improve, in my opinion.
I also asked Chrono, does meta matter?
Honestly, meta isn't incredibly important until about the Masters rank. You could play any character and easily climb to Masters or GM if you're good enough. That being said, you can increase your chances of winning if you play meta or heroes that are good right now. Meta isn't completely relevant for this reason. You can pick an off-meta character and climb, but it's going to be much harder than if you just got good at a strong hero that's in the meta. To sum it up, you don't need to follow the meta to climb, but it'll surely make your journey that much easier.
So that was a pretty definitive answer coming out of Chrono. For lower ranks, meta really doesn't matter right now. However, I wanted to know from his perspective why it's important to know about the meta and what heroes are good and how to play certain playstyles. And it does tie into what Agi said earlier actually.
Yeah, so like I said, you can climb with basically any character that you want, but you can also maximize your chances by playing somebody that is meta, right? So maybe it's going to be really hard to get high rank with Reinhardt right now, for example, but it's still doable. But maybe you can put in like, let's say half that effort, or it's going to be half as hard, and you just pick Orisa, right? And you get that same outcome in terms of SR. So it definitely makes the climb a whole lot easier, but I don't want to discourage anybody from playing the hero that they want to play, because it really is still possible at the end of the day. Overwatch League and ladder are very different when it comes down to strategy and game plans, but the vast majority is basically the same. Overwatch League players are much better than ladder players, but that doesn't mean that we should invalidate somebody or something just because it was seen in the league. The players are there for a reason. Focus on improving yourself and you'll get farther than anything else. The aim of many of these who should you play videos and meta guides is to help players make sense of the game and increases their chances of winning, therefore climbing out of the ranks. Most people watch these videos to gain an edge, and that's exactly what we do. What you take from the video is completely up to you, but we're trying to help people reach their goals by giving them helpful information.
And I think we sort of reached a key point that I've been wanting to highlight for quite some time, just really being unable to say it. People are right, meta isn't that important, but it can increase your chances of winning and climbing. Let's use the example of playing Genji and Hanzo, the two brothers. Hanzo is incredibly strong right now and is incredibly meta in a lot of places. If you're a good Hanzo and a good Genji, similar skill levels on both of them, on average you'll probably win more playing Hanzo than Genji, for the most part at least. However, if you're a much better Genji than a Hanzo, you can just play Genji. However, if you are a Genji player that's like, I'm thinking about playing Hanzo at the moment because he seems really strong, every Hanzo that I play up against is really good, and I have the same sort of skill set, then now is a good time to be playing Hanzo. Like Chrono said, you could get to Masters playing Reinhardt, but I completely understand that players might enjoy playing Reinhardt more than Orisa. These are definitely more guidelines. Not only for helping you improve at the game, just to have a better chance of winning, like a 10%, 20% increase by just playing heroes that are really good right now, but also I want to teach people why things are the way that they are. Why is Hanzo really strong currently? Why is Orisa played all of the time? Why is Mei suddenly now an option even though she hasn't been buffed recently? Maybe I go about it the wrong way entirely. None of these videos are totalitarian, you know what I mean? But this is the one aspect of Overwatch that still keeps me interested in it after all of this time. I love how the game changes, how one hero becomes stronger than the other, not only understanding that that's the case, but also why. And I want to share that enjoyment that I get out of talking about the Overwatch meta with you. If you just want to play Torbjorn every single game, you go for that. Now's a really good time to be doing that. But for support players and tank players that might be like, I don't know what to play. I could play all of them at a similar level, but every time I play Reinhardt, it just seems to go badly. I want to be able to talk about why that's the case and what they can do to improve their chances. But this has been on my mind for like the past couple of months or so, and I do enjoy making the videos that I make, going over the meta, winners and losers, stuff like that, but I never want to feel like I'm telling you what to do. Just advising you, or maybe consulting you on what's good right now. So that's why I still think the meta is incredibly important, even though it really doesn't matter at all. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Take care. We'll see you next time.